Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inside Out Smile. I'm your host, Dr. Amber Q, and I'm delighted that you've joined me today. I'm especially delighted because it's going to distract me from the fact that I just had one of my omega-3 capsules alongside my magnesium. I had the magnesium first, that was fine. And then with the omega-3, I think I didn't have enough water. It got stuck in my throat and I could feel it slightly dissolving and moving down my esophagus slowly. And it's been quite painful. So let me just grab some more water. Bismillah. I think it's so much better now, but I think I might have to change my subscription to the smaller capsules because that was just a little bit unpleasant. Now, by the title, you probably know what I'm going to say, but I want to talk about a little adventure of something that happened to me, well, literally I would say the other day. So I'd decided to go for a walk. Yes, I decided to go for a walk and it's so beautiful, right? It's summer, the parakeets are chirping away. There's a beautiful pond. It is gorgeous, right? It's just gorgeous. There's a dirt path that I like to walk around. And as I walk towards the pond, I kind of move to the wooden path and I like to look out over the jetty at the plants and the ducks. And I want to tell you what happened this particular day. So let me start the story. I hope you enjoyed the sound effects there. And so essentially what happened was I had walked down the dirt path as mentioned, and I wasn't at the jetty. I had kind of deviated to the left where there was a bench, and I was standing, my gosh, not even a foot away from the bench, right? And essentially I was just looking at the water and I just love doing that, listening to the birds. And there was a couple in the distance to the left. And they, I think, had spotted something kind of beyond me, right? And they were, I think, thinking of sitting by this massive tree just beyond me, so to my right side. Now, there was myself, then less than 2 meters between myself and the bench, right? And then you had a bit more grass, the wooden kind of path around the lake or the pond, and then you have various jetties. So they came across from my left on the grass, right? And remember, there's nothing behind me. There's just grass behind me. And then beyond to my right, there's a big tree that I think they were looking at. And there were lots of, there are lots of paths and more trees, etc. Anyway, so they're walking along and basically it was a man and a woman, and I can't remember if they had a dog. And basically the guy walks between me and the bench so that I had stepped back. The woman had walked on the grass. So she just walked behind me and he just walked between me and the bench. And then he did say sorry. So I don't know if he then kind of thought, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But I was thinking, what the heck? Like, why did you just walk between me and the bench so that I had to step back? That just doesn't make sense when literally there's all this space behind me. But I think that he was so focused on getting to that tree, he didn't care what got in his way. I don't know. Anyway, so then they just walked on, and then, they sat by the tree and they were sitting there for ages. And I was just, I'd say, pretty shocked. But the interesting thing is that a week prior to that, I was in the same area, right? I was in the same area, and I think we should have some more sound effects, right? So I was in the same area, but this time I was in front of the bench. I was actually on the wooden path, and I was actually standing by the barrier looking out to the water. And what happened on this day was that there was a lady with a little dog, I think. I think the dog was off the lead. And I was standing just by the barrier. So essentially you've got a wooden path. Obviously there's a barrier to prevent you from falling into the water. And so I wasn't actually leaning on the barrier, but I was just standing by the barrier. And again, there was no one around me, right? There was no one behind me. There was no one in her way. And she was walking along the path. But she decided that she was going to walk between me and the barrier when she could have walked behind me. And then remember, as I've just described, so there's the barrier, you've got the water essentially, the barrier, me standing by the barrier, and we're talking about half a metre? No, not even half a metre. Okay, let's go for half a metre between me and the barrier. And then, of course, there's the rest of the wooden path behind me. And then you've got grass. And then a little after that, you've got a bench. But the bench obviously is in just one certain area. So I don't think I was directly behind the bench. So she was walking along the path, and she decided to walk between me and the barrier. And again, I had to step back, and I was like, what the heck is going on? So that was the first thing that happened, actually. She was the first incident. And then like a week, maybe 10 days later, the guy with the girl. And I just thought to myself, what is going on? Because I was really, really shocked, to be honest. And I know it's a small thing on 2 occasions, but it kind of stuck with me. I don't know. I mean, was it rude? I feel it was rude, right? I feel it was rude because, like, I don't know, did these people not see me? Was I invisible? Or did they just not register me as a person to root around? It was like I didn't even factor into their kind of logistical thing, right? And I don't know. And interestingly, I was speaking to a friend about this, and she was saying that it was so weird because she was essentially telling me, well, she rang me up one day and she was like, oh, can I come around for coffee? Can I come around for coffee? Actually, she didn't say that. She said it would be so amazing to meet up for a drink. And I thought, and by drink, I mean non-alcoholic beverages. And I said, of course, it'd be lovely to see you. So, and I knew she wanted to discuss something, right? So basically, because I know her. Anyway, so she was telling me about just issues in the practice and how people behave. And I actually didn't get to tell her this story. But the point is, they were 2 totally different settings, but in a way, it was the same underlying pattern of people not registering each other. And maybe it's just, not malicious thing. I'm not implying that it was malicious, but it's just that I think it used to be different previously. And I've been thinking about this, and I feel that there could be some reasons, right? So I'm kind of thinking that, first of all, people are just, I feel that people are so stressed. I realized this post-COVID, actually, and I feel that that hasn't changed. I feel that people are so stressed, and when you're in stress mode, you become tunnel visioned, right? So your attention becomes very narrow, and so it's like a horse wearing blinkers. You're not going to kind of see what's around you. So it's almost like people just bulldoze their way to where they want to get to, because it's a kind of, it's a survival mechanism. And so I think that can make people less considerate. I also think that people just have less people skills, because most people spend time now on screens or Zoom meetings, etc. And a lot of people, I think, when they're in the office, there are not that many people in the office with them, because some people may be working from home that day. So I think that there's just less practice to be in person with someone, right? And then I think also that because of that, I just think that, normally there's this unspoken social contract, right? Where we know, generally people know not to invade someone else's personal space, although some people still do that, right, in the supermarket. But generally, and that really annoys me, I'll be honest with you. But anyway, I think that that's become more diluted because people don't see each other again that often. I don't know. I just feel that that is the case. And I also just think that people are so stressed generally that there's so much stuff on their brain. So on the one hand, you've got the stress thing going on, so you're like like a horse with blinkers on. But then I think also people have so much there's just so much cognitive load, right? Because people are thinking about financial pressures. I don't know, they might be thinking about what other people are thinking about them. I don't know. It's just, there's so much going on, isn't there? And I just think that people just don't have that capacity. I don't know. And I guess when you're depleted, you just don't have that energy, right? To be more compassionate, or just to even think straight, because you're in survival mode. I don't know. That's what I think. So I guess, it's like the double D scenario, which I've just made up, where basically someone appears to be difficult, but it's because they are just depleted. Do you know? I don't know. I don't know if this has happened to you, whether you recognize this as something that you've come across, I don't know, in your life. But, yeah, I don't know. It just gave me something to think about. I mean, I tried to think about it in that way when people cut me up in the car, because I'm like, oh, maybe they're on their way to an emergency, right? So I have this little narrative in my head. And I guess when someone does something like that, I don't know, I'm just trying to figure out what happened, really. And I think the thing is, for me, I thought to myself, do I behave like that as well? I'm sure I do sometimes. And so I think, like, sometimes I think to myself, sometimes we know when we need a rest or we need to chill out. And I think the thing is, it's like we have to kind of top up our own capacity, right? So that we kind of move through communities or, shared spaces with grace. So I think for me, it was something to think about in terms of myself and how I behave. But I did find it quite shocking, honestly. So I wonder if that's happened to you. But hey, if you enjoyed this episode, please do share it. And until the next episode, let's create connection and not just change lives, but save lives.